Good morning, people. It is Thursday, August 29th. We've got one day left until the end of August here. And yesterday, one of the most anticipated earnings of the period of this week for sure dropped, right? We had NVIDIA earnings, and semis are on a little earnings tumble. So let's take a look at what's going on here, right? NVIDIA was a big wild card. A lot of people, a lot of market participants had a lot of eyes on NVIDIA. This was one of the main earnings things that people were looking forward to in August in itself, specifically after we got a very significant rally in this market. And the stock slumped, right? It slumped at one point a very, very strong bit. Let's see. I'll just go on an intraday basis to see the low of the move because we had our 8% move, right? The expected volatility based on options, right? Where is the close of yesterday, actually? The close is somewhere here, cash close, right? We got a downside move about 8.5% down into $115 a share. We on the overnight on the reopen, right? We started grinding a bit higher, and they almost took back all those losses pre-market here as markets rallied overnight. So, despite the AI darling's very impressive result in guidance, along with a $50 billion buyback, NVIDIA has since parred the big losses and is only down now about, I don't know how much it's down about. Let's say it's down about almost 3-ish%, just shy of 3% realistically. So in the pre-market session, who knows if things can turn even positive actually if we just start gapping back up. There's the potential that these things turn around. We saw that Hunter Wolf Research also reiterated a strong buy rating following the latest numbers. We also saw some other analysts and investors talking about that NVIDIA's earnings were excellent, but the market will likely want more. It likely wanted more. That's probably what created this larger downside move in the stock itself. So it just wasn't enough. You also have CEO Jensen, Uncle Jensen. He's been selling significant amounts of the stock in itself, so that's probably not helping at this point. Yeah, $50 billion buyback does help, but also another fun fact is, about 76% of NVIDIA employees are millionaires, right? That's no other company can say that, that's for sure. We also had another semi in super microcomputers. Remember, there was a lot of news about this over the last year or so, right? 2024, this baby rallied into the peaks about 350%, now slumping very, very significantly. And we did see a 19% drop on Wednesday after disclosing that it would not be able to file its annual 10K report on time. Additional time is needed for management to complete its assessment of the design and operating effectiveness of internal controls over financial reporting. The update came a day after a Heidenberg Research new short report claimed evidence of accounting manipulation. So we saw that the downside in semis in general is leading into a little more downside in the overall market. SMH is one of those ETFs, like the semi ETF, SOXX, right? You can follow either or, but it gives me a good understanding of the general strength of semis, which also leads, in fact, how the S&P and the overall market actually does. So following this, right, we've seen some slumps in semis so far. The semiconductor ETFs have been pulling down on the back of NVIDIA and SMCI dropping. AMD is probably not too far off, right? That's SMD. AMD, right, it's pulling down as well. Not crazy significantly, but we haven't seen the rallies and the extended gains that we've seen in other semis along with AMD. So generally speaking, we don't really have too much other news. We had GDP Q2 figures this morning. Let me see what that looks like. What's going on? Every time I try to load this to get those figures, it just errors me. So let me I'll do it on my phone, or wait. Now that I threatened to do it on a different device, my computer started acting right. So the second quarter, or the quarter-over-quarter second estimates on GDP, right, the Q2s, 2.8% was expected. It came out at 3%. Where'd it go? It came out at 3%. 2.8% was last time's. which was a decent little beat. We saw that markets popped initially off that news. We saw that initial jobless claims came in 1,000 under expectations, which helped some of that bull side as well. So there, after this like massive rally that we got on the overnight session, we're starting to see the buyers still try to reinforce and hold up these longs. So we've pretty much given up a lot of the losses, or given back a lot of the losses in the market on the overnight session in itself, which is pretty interesting. And that doesn't mean that we can't just sell again and the markets can't turn on that offer yet again. But it's something that we need to look for. Realistically, you need to watch for these pivots and where these pivots are, because I do want to look at this as like a more bullish momentum, but honestly, as long as we can hold 56 like 10 12 area on the S&P, it really brings that chance up. If we start moving above that 56 28 area, it does bring that chance up. Otherwise, like if we slump, right, my pivot on the day is 56 10 56 12 on the S&P. If we start slumping from that area and we reoffer it, it's going to be a very similar situation as to yesterday. There is a lot of support to the downside, but generally speaking, yesterday's opening to the downside was pretty drastic. We saw something similar on Thursday that just got rebid back up. So it's something to consider. Don't just blindly keep shorting this thing. I want to see convincing breaks to the downside, or if we can actually accept to the upside, you can see where the weekly value is sitting as well. If we can start moving above that weekly value ledge around that 56.28 area, then yeah, okay, sure, we could present a little more upside in these markets and we can start shifting structure. But I don't think that the sellers are necessarily done with this just yet. If they can't break under 56.10 and we just start on a monster bid, the next test of 56.48 area, I think just like breaks to the upside on this S&P, to be honest with you guys. So that's mainly what I'm looking for. Very, very concise and one leveled plan. It all hinges on that 56.10 area realistically for me on these S&P 500 futures, whether they want to accept or reject, and that's what's going to dictate the next move in my opinion. So yesterday on the overnight we managed to hold really well at that 55.65 into the end of onto the overnight session, which caused a nice little very, very sweet bid, which pretty much gave back all the losses from yesterday's session. So we'll see if they want to continue pressing on that sell pressure today. But if they lose that steam and we make a move above 56.48 area, 56.50 today, I think it's done and we're chugging along towards new highs. So let's keep that in mind, and I'm going to open up the trading room. I'll see you guys in there. We'll do this again tomorrow to wrap up the week, and enjoy the rest of August. We got 2 more trading days left, and then we're off to yet another month. So how do you get Sierra chart settings? There's a link below if you get into our free Discord, right? It's pinned in our open Discord channel. You can go and find our Sierra charts chart books there. So with that, I hope you all have an amazing day. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and we'll see what this wonky market wants to do.